Hey guys, Scar9 here, and welcome back to my channel today, and in this video we are going to be going over the very final encounter in the entirety of the Leviathan raid, Emperor Calus himself. So this is going to be my complete guide, as with my other ones which I will have linked down in the description. I'm going to break down the encounter for you guys, I'm going to show you my team's strategy, and hopefully you learn by the end of this video how to effectively do this encounter. So when you first walk into this room, you're going to notice a couple of things. 4 plates, and then Emperor Calus in front of you. Now in order to start the encounter, you have to either walk up to him or shoot the cup out of his hand. It's a pretty cool way to start the encounter. Now whenever you do start the encounter, ads will start to spawn out of the middle doors, and then they will also come from the left and right sides of the room. Your team just needs to stay out of the line of sight of Emperor Calus, as he will shoot you and he does a lot of damage, so you need to hide behind these pillars and you need to take care of ads. Whenever all of these ads are gone and after a little bit of time has passed, a bunch of scions will start spawning around the room. Now it is very important that you do not kill these scions. If you kill these scions before Emperor Calus teleports you, which we'll get into in a second, but if you kill them, then the encounter becomes a whole lot tougher for 3 people. So make sure you don't kill them, and then Emperor Calus will stand up and he will clap his hands, and all 6 of you will be teleported to another dimension. Now from this point, it kind of branches off. You need to split into teams of 3. 3 of you need to go back inside the throne room, and 3 of you are going to stay out here with the giant Emperor Calus head. So make sure you have that designated after you watch this guide, but I'm going to break this down into 2 different sections. So the people who are staying outside on the top of the ship, where you are right now with the giant purple head, need to stay still. There are these little purple walls that you need to stand behind, and this is what you need to do for now. So the other 3 people are going to teleport back in. We're going to go over that in a second, but like I said, we're going to be focusing on the 3 people staying outside. So during this phase, symbols are going to appear on Emperor Calus's forehead. The giant purple head in front of you will have different symbols on his head. They will be the dog, the chalice, the sun, and the knives that we have seen throughout the entire raid, and you need to go ahead and call those out. Now every one of the players staying in here, all 3 of you guys, will see another symbol, so it's very important that you guys have some type of system so you don't talk over each other, and you need to call out these symbols to the people who teleported back inside the room. Like I said, we'll go over that part in a second. Just know that you are responsible for calling out those symbols for now. Now while you are waiting for the symbols to change, what you need to do is take care of all the scions. There are 2 different types of scions in this encounter. There are the regular ones that stand on the ground. These guys are extremely dangerous. They will shoot grenades that knocks you over the barrier holding you back, and if this happens, you will get sucked into Emperor Calus's giant head and then you will die. That is inevitable, that will happen, so you need to make sure you take care of these scions. Now the other type of scions are the floating ones in the clear bubbles that you've seen throughout the entire raid. You need to go ahead and shoot them, because if you don't, it will wipe the entire team. So whenever you call out your symbols, you will then proceed to kill both types of scions, make sure all of them are gone, and then the people inside will do their part, which we'll go over in a second, and then you will move up to another wall. If done correctly, another wall will spawn, you will get sucked forward, you will hit it, and then you have to start over again. Now every time you hit another wall, the symbol on Calus's forehead will change, and you need to call it out again for the people on the inside, and then a new round of scions will spawn. You also need to make sure that every time you move up, you don't hit a ramp or a bump, because you will fly over the next barrier, and once again you will get sucked into Calus's giant head and die. So you need to make sure you have a very clear path planned out. Whenever you go to the next wall, then you need to call out your symbol, immediately start killing scions in that order, and then line yourself up so you don't fly over the edge. So whenever you get to the 4th and final wall, the giant head of Emperor Calus will literally start throwing up hundreds of skulls, and with your fire team, you need to make sure you shoot as many of these skulls as possible. This determines how much damage you will do to Emperor Calus in the next phase, the DPS phase. So you guys need to make sure you're doing everything you can, putting down barriers that let you reload instantly, using guns with large magazines, killing as many of these skulls as you can. Now if they do hit you, they do a little bit of damage. I haven't seen too many people die from these, but just know that you can't get directly hit by a lot of them or else you will die. Then whenever you're done with that, a bunch of psionic orbs will spawn, you will pick them up, and you will be teleported into the center where you begin the DPS phase. Now before we go over the DPS phase, I want to rewind back to that point where the 2 fire teams separated, and I want to go over what happens whenever the team teleports back in. So the 3 people that are teleporting back in need to coordinate, and each one needs to jump over the wall and grab the psionic orb. As soon as you touch it, you'll be teleported back in. You don't need to hold X or square or anything like that. but you need to designate which ones you're going to so 2 people don't go for the same one and then 1 person dies. So 1 needs to get the one on the left, 1 in the center, and 1 on the right, and you need to try to keep it consistent every single time. So whenever the 3 people get teleported back into the room with Emperor Calus, you need to be listening out for the people on the outside. So you will have 1 person designated to clear ads on the left, 1 person on the right, and 1 person will stand in the very center of the room where I do, where Emperor Calus can't shoot you, and you need to kind of help out with ads, but your main purpose is actually to melee the corresponding scion. So how you determine which scion to melee, you have to listen to the people on the outside. Remember when I said that each person on the outside will call out a different symbol? There will be 3. Well, on the inside room, there are 4 separate plates, each one with a scion on it, and each one has a symbol above their heads that correlates to another symbol. So say the fire team on the outside calls out sun, dog, and knives. The person on the inside that is dealing with the plates then has to go and melee the one symbol that was not called, in this case Chalice. So you will run over to that, punch the scion in the face, and then get back to the center and await the next call. So this is pretty straightforward. The people on the left and the right need to make sure they are effectively taking care of ads so you don't die. But what you are doing whenever you're punching that scion is in fact spawning the next wall. So if you don't get to your scion on time, the people on the outside will fly into Calus's mouth and die. So you need to make sure no one is talking except the people calling out symbols. You need to make sure you're paying attention to the symbol that is not called, and then you need to make sure you quickly get over to that scion and punch him in the face. You do have a small amount of time to do this. You can tell because there's a smaller bubble inside of the larger scion bubble growing, and whenever that bubble gets to the outside and it kind of blows up, it is actually signaling the start of the new phase. So make sure you're just paying attention to the smaller inner bubble, because like I said, that is essentially your timer on how long you have to punch that scion. So you will do this 4 times per round. Whenever you punch the corresponding scions 4 times, all 4 people need to go to the start of the room. They need to hide so Emperor Calus does not shoot you, and then you need to go ahead and clear out all the ads. You will do this until the skull starts spawning on the outside, and this is when Emperor Calus will start doing this weird pose where he shines light on everyone. Now this is very important. How long he is in this phase determines how many skulls spawn. And like I said before, how many skulls you kill determines how much damage you are doing to him. So you need to try to leave him in this phase for as long as possible, but if you let him stay in there too long, everyone will die. So you need to make sure only 1 person is shooting him, get his health down really low, and then whenever you get to around the 60 or 70 skull mark, have everyone finish him off. So essentially you need the perfect combination of waiting as long as you can to get more skulls for more damage without wiping everyone. Whenever this shield does finally get taken down, this is when the damage phase begins. So when the DPS phase begins, this is how you have to do it. There are 4 plates in the room, and each plate lasts around 10 to 15 seconds, I would say. That's a guess, but it only lasts a limited amount of time. So what you need to do, you need to coordinate with your team. We always go to the front right plate first, so you will jump on that plate and just start absolutely hammering Calus. The best things for DPS are the Merciless, the Cold Heart, Pulse Grenades, Celestial Nighthawk Supers. Make sure you're using your Rifts and your auto reload barriers, stuff like that. You just need to make sure you're doing as much damage as possible. Now you guys need to stay on that plate until Calus raises his hand, and as soon as he does this, everyone needs to bounce off to the plate directly behind you, because if you don't, he will spawn a giant explosion and everyone will die. So right here, like you can see in the footage, he raises his hand and we all move to the next plate. Then you just repeat this a couple of times. So when you're on the plate 2, you keep shooting. When he raises his hand, you jump over to the left plate. Then you keep damaging him. When he raises his hand, you jump to the front plate, and you keep doing this until he finally raises his hand the 4th time, and that is when you have to start this entire thing over. Now ideally you will get his health somewhere around the 3rd to a half mark. If you don't get him to this damage mark, either people in your fire team are not using the best weapons for DPS, or you did not get enough skulls, so make sure you're paying attention to that. But essentially whenever this happens, you will just rinse and repeat the entire thing. Pretty much everything stays the same, but every time you hit a new checkpoint on his health, his weapon changes. So whenever he has full health, he does the arm raise thing, and that's when he spawns the explosive and tries to kill you. Whenever you get him a 1/3 of the way down, his arm now becomes a gun and he will shoot giant rockets at you. So whenever you're doing DPS now, you just need to make sure you look out for whenever he raises his arm and points it at you rather than raises it in the air. But it's the same thing, you just need to jump off the plate into the next one when this happens. And then in the final phase, he will kind of shoot a giant flaming rocket into the sky. This one has a massive area of effect, so you really need to make sure you're moving on this one. And then the last thing you guys need to be wary of is whenever you finally get his health all the way down, he will go into his final phase one more time. That's where he does the light thing in the sky, and you and your fire team will have to work together to get down his health one last time, and that is when you will beat the encounter. So that is my entire guide on this. Hopefully you guys found it really helpful. If you have any questions for me, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out on these encounters. But if you guys did enjoy this guide, make sure to leave a like rating and to share it with your friends. If you are interested in any of my other Leviathan raid guides, you can find links to those down in the description or by clicking the respective annotations on screen. If you are brand new to my channel, make sure to hit the giant version of my logo to be subscribed to more awesome Destiny 2 videos and live streams. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will see you in my next video.